Good evening, it's Loki Obliterati. It's 7:51, time for a nifty quick one. Shift up out of my bones and get quick to go. Another graveyard shift, so my weekends are this way. I can't quite miss on the sunshine that comes out. It's usually my time to be asleep. I have to just go without. Oh, into the dark I keep, quite devout to the graveyard shift all the time, so when I play I have to go hard and completely shift my mind into a whole different way. Envision, alter my own circadian rhythm, stay on the chaos mode all the time. It won't lay off. I don't mind. I just get to play right. Other people have to remind me when it's either day or night. My mind is always in disarray, and so these rhymes are just another way of organizing shit tight. It's the way that things just end up coming around again. I guess I've been talking to myself my whole life, and sooner or later that sound would become my friend. I'd end up liking the rhythm that came out time and again, minding the pen, crime and zen. So when rhyme makes amends, it's like finding that everything just climbs and ascends, and if you continue to build your thoughts onto a ladder, then you find out right off what you're after. Mind warms up and gets hot, and what's formless says, all right, here's what we got. Things come around. Full circle. Complete the hurdle. I think that's my real problem. Why I get so flipped and tripped up with hipsters whenever I see someone who's 19 years old wearing an Atari shirt like he's old school, like he knows what that means. It's just so cool nowadays to be into all sorts of geek chic culture. People totally don't realize, I think, exactly how little allure that had back in the day. You know, back when if you were going to wear an Atari shirt, you were rocking it fearlessly. This was before Big Bang Theory, before anyone else could be geeky and still have girls near, you see, when it was still just a social poison to say you listened to Social Distortion. When being punk was something that you did, not as just a state of rebellion and a noise, but because you couldn't be avoiding it, you know? The exclusion, the bullying, and so people would end up lashing out and getting physical, and it was a case of saying, yo, I've got my own groove, and you may have missed my role, but you're the one who's following the illusion, so you better get back, yo. That's something that has to come from experience, your self-discovery. People get obsessed and they say, okay, this thing rocked me so much I can't quite fully recover, so I'm just gonna take full stock of it and then turn it into a topic of my everyday life in order to help me get through things, in order to help me use a new kind of scope, a new kind of vision. That's why people feel through their music and end up using that to then express what they can. That's why it means so much that you should always have a greater span of things that you can use, the toolbox at your hand, every kind of emotional bridge that someone else already crossed. That's the span that you can just hold in your pocket if you fully, empathically stand through their whole chamber and open every single locket. Then you can have the hip socket stroll, dance to that song, hold it in your head, and bong, just like the Gong Show. One rattle on the vibration ends up unwaking every single layer that you got quaking like parfait, and you say, okay, it's time to play. How far can we go today? I got bars to slay. But every time, everything that you say is ultimately a reflection of something that was tapped, something that had to be learned. Whenever I'm around the little kids, I always think everything that I say, you know, they could repeat, and then they're just going to take it somewhere else as they walk away. I'm like, all right, that's for keeps. Everything you say is a jewel. Everything you say is a seed. I got to keep that in my mind every way. But then every now and then, that reminds me of everything I ever learned, everything I ever said. I had to have heard somewhere else first. I love to play like I'm the berserk who will always disperse and say shit you never heard before, like it never occurred to you the same lore. Yeah, it did, I just stirred it up a little more. Not everything I say is going to be completely original. A lot of it's completely subliminal. Shit, some of it's completely abysmal. It's the whole reason I started this practice of spit first, transcribe later. I didn't want to be cutting away all the layers and saying, oh yeah, well, this part is cool and that part is okay, but if I flip them this way, then the pyramid shift ends up being more clear, and then other people can't miss it. I can even throw in a few puns to dismiss and run my tongue and maybe get a little kind of lingus hint on there in case someone else is getting incensed and wondering how can he get sexual and crude and wise all at the same time. And I say, I don't know, just excuse my mind, or if you can't, then dude, that's your attitude, not mine. But it's just not necessary always to end up busting all those ways just to call my fray and brawl these days. But my mind ends up spinning in a daze. Everything has to be examined because everything matters, and that's really what I'm after. Obsession over a topic such that it becomes more than an object but a subject. That's like when consciousness is assigned from a child to a stuffed toy, and that toy becomes a friend, where the object becomes a subject, and magic has a certain bit to lend. I know it's just our own attitude on that, but damn, it's something that really does last. It's something that truly is magical, because it holds us pat, like the thoughts that we give so much form, so much credence to, that if someone else manages to bleed a little bit through and say, okay, you've got some ingredients for that thought, I've got some dirty ingredients too. I mean, really, what's so wrong to blast as an iconoclast is that when you separate people's ideas from their past, you end up leaving them with not much to hold in a disarray in their lap. It's fucked up. I try not to do that so much. I try not to put cutting down reality on blast. I try not to do that whole Penn Jillette shit. It's condescending, It's not my bit. It's not what my tongue tip is for. I want to be able to just get out and adore this world. But that's the trip. Everything you experience is what truly makes you hip, truly turns the object into a subject, to bring it back to the hipster trip and the ugliness of it. But that's the rambling obsession discussion that I've got. So, the sun is going down. I'm waking up. The beach is out there, and I gotta get after it. This is Loki Obliterati. Spit first, transcribe later. Chapter 6.